Well, my favourite day of the modelling year has come and passed. It's the It's the day after the weekend of the Queensland Model Hobbies Exhibition, QMHE, our state model show, and I thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown in my backyard. Here's my lovely forest I have in the back, as you can see there, instead of my dingy office, because what I do, well, I'm doing it this year, I think I did it last year as well, is after the competition's come and gone, I'm like, it's time to clean everything out. So I'm doing a big clean out of the office and the hobby room. I'm putting stuff away that I know that I'm probably never going to finish. I'm never happy with them. Put away the kits that I really love, my F14s that I finished. I'm going to rearrange my spare bedroom that I've got next to my office. I'm going to put some more display cabinets in there, so I'll chuck them in there. But anyway, enough of me waffling about what I'm going to do in the future. I'll do an update later if you're interested. But let's talk about what happened on the weekend. First, I've got a bit of a montage of most of the categories, not every single category. I apologise in advance for the sound quality. I'm just using this old dodgy Sony camera. I spoke to Mark, and not my son, another Mark, another YouTuber, and I'm going to upgrade my camera and get a better microphone on it so you can hear me waffle on. So let's just look at that first, and then at the end we'll come back and have a quick chat about what I thought of the competition. Hello there, I'm here at Queensland Model Hobbies an exhibition show, QMHE, on the Sunday. So it's just opened again. This place was packed yesterday morning, and record attendance for the competition. Over 630 models entered, including my son there, he just entered one as well. Let's have a quick look around. So half the competition, half the hall is competition, the other half, or more than half, is lots of vendors. And I'll go see model nerds in a minute, might grab something. This is the Riverside display. This is Bill's fantastic B24. And up here is Bernie's Fletcher class destroyer. Just an overall great set of displays. So that's one of the attractions of this show. There's so many good club displays. You don't have to come for the competition. The displays themselves are worth the entry. Let's go look at some more. This was one of my favourites. I've got this kit, and this is good inspiration. I judged the mech category here last night. Some really well weathered examples. They made a pink and called it the Barbie. Sorry, chaps. Particularly like this Batman chap. I know whether it's So no, this is not the armour section, this is intermediate, this is teenagers doing this. It's the quality of work that's going to come up to the open classes soon. Great jobs, that Yard Tiger looks fantastic. And that's why I won gold. So yes, all of this, all teenagers, so the hobby is well and truly alive, don't really worry about that. And then the junior category is nice and full. There's my son's X-Wing, quite a few other things. So yeah, the hobby is not dying. So I judged this category last night. This is a scratch build, which has really got three subcategories. You've got some fantastic sculpting here, people making their own figures, and then of course you've got this behemoth, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then this wonderful scratch build, fully documented trailer set up there. So it's really three in one, but this was just the highlight, and I think it has one model of the show. I know that half the judges selected it. 800 hours of work. The only thing that's not scratch built are the tyres. Everything else is handmade, and the documentation for this is literally a novel. Absolutely amazing. Sci-fi this year was again split into 2 or 3 categories. So we got the major sci-fi stuff there. I love that one at the back here, the Conan flyer. That's just amazingly well done. Got Eric's Terminator. But this lunar diver that looks like it's hovering. They've done well with the wire for the fuel. And then we've got Star Wars category. I'll hang on with Star Wars back here. So we've got sci-fi figures. Again, amazing quality and variation. And then we've got the Star Wars category itself, which is actually a bit down on previous years. I've only got one entry in here. That tie advance looks great. These are mainly all Bandai kits, but mine, that's not mine there, that's another one. Abandoned, weathered Y-wing, and then that's mine there, the red jammer. That's that fine mould throwaway kit, which yeah, did alright. So another section I judged last night were the submarines. And we'll just pan out of the way, but that was a really hard category to judge. From this distance, these look all fantastic. It's when you go close up that, particularly with the smaller scales, getting the photo etch done right is really difficult. So this all came down to construction, how good the construction was and how good your final finish with your paintwork was. And yeah, it was very hard to come up with the winners. Well, no, it was hard to come up with the bronzes, let's put it that way. So this was extremely well tightly done and built, and a nice flat finish. This one had one or two very minor construction ones on the tail, but the weathering and the finish and the context of it is much better. And then of course you get this fantastic thing, built perfectly, great storytelling, great weathering, you've got the resin base. Yeah, it's just stunning. That'd be something I'd want to have in my display cabinet. That's why it won the top honours. So the armour was well represented. We've got the small scale stuff there, which I can bloody not see at all. With some amazing models. This one being the winner. It's outstanding detail for that small scale. And we jump the table, we get to the 148. I used to compete in this class until my eyesight went. Some great ones there. And so as you can tell in QMHE, weathering is actually judged. So you may have a perfectly built model, and if it's painted nice and flat, it might place, but unless you put some real effort into the weathering, I judge this category. So you know, both of these are outstanding models, every aftermarket part thrown at them, and yeah, it's a really great finish. So this is a very big category. That's the 135th. Can't read that, what's it say? Oh, it's the multimedia, and yeah, again, fantastic entries. My favourite are these two by Grant at the back here. And every year the 116 category just gets bigger and bigger, literally and figuratively, because of all these great new kits coming out. So, you know, we've got Jeeps, Kettenkrads, Abrams, I think that's a 190 Kettenkrad, Kubelwagens, Stugs, and there's the Stewart at the back there, so fantastic models. I didn't get to judge this one. I really wanted to have a stoke at it because that's really where I'm going to do armour from now on. So the figure category was very well attended. Some amazing figures here, especially with Ben Flood. He's done an amazing job. I'll just quickly go over some of his figures. I think the Scottish Pipers is his. Yeah, they've thankfully put some of the figures on, most of them on these elevated bases, which is great. And as you can see, multiple awards per category, so it's sort of a hybrid open system that we use here, which is great. They did split the figure categories up a little bit more, but still you're still getting multiple winners. So look at this, that's absolutely fantastic. And the speeder bike. Oh, its tag's fallen over, let me just fix that. So dioramas, I judged this one last night. Yeah, this does show there's not much of depth here with these large-scale science fiction, but amazing quality with the Zodiac there. There's 12 figures. So it definitely came out on top. I felt that this diorama could have been about a quarter of the size and still had the same effect, but it's got amazing detail. So we can just have a zoom in there. We've got the small sci-fi dioramas. That's fantastic. My son loved this one, the Do Not Recycle Us. And these Gundams and Terrariums, which are fantastic. So So the military diorama, the one that really stood out was this destroyer getting destroyed. The torpedo trail there, very well thought out. The rest of them, okay. More sort of vehicles on a base than the dioramas, but not too bad. You know, the usual Germans standing around pointing at something. Lounging around, thinking about what atrocities they're going to do next. And then this is I think my favourite of the show. I really love this. I remember seeing the photos in Venestia in Ukraine. It was one of the sites that were under attack by Russia. I really want to know who did that one. I'd almost buy that off and put that in my cabinet. I love it. Everyone gives me crap about putting planes on poles. Well, that's the best one I can see to do it because it's real. And all these other civil dioramas, the usual abandoned cars in a forest. This one won gold. It'd be nice to see some different. This one's a bit different, which is good. Nice to see some different sort of ideas in dioramas instead of just cars abandoned in a shed. But, you know, you can't deny the talent there. We all love a tractor or a truck, I guess, but that one won gold. Looks very familiar. I did something similar to that a few years ago in this category. No, but I love it. It's good. More civilian vehicles, the better. I didn't judge the trucks this year, but they're an extremely hard category to judge because you know you go from being, some of these are, you know, literally showroom, never been driven, to do you know, judge them with a base on it like that? They're pristine. Get to the chopper. Now in recent years there hasn't been that many helicopters on display. Here we've got about a dozen, including the 135th ICM Tahe. That's my mate Grant, he built that, he did an amazing job. Great kit. Now this little fellow one, there's quite a variety on display there. None in flight unfortunately, but it's good to see a few of them on bases. And then moving across to biplanes, that's pretty much it, the only two categories. You've got the small scale and the open large scale. And of course Eric Gallier's Junkers one. And the same chap did this one in small scale and large scale. I judged that category. That was on. The rigging is amazing. This one in particular, the DH9. There's turnbuckles there on 1/72nd scale, which is just insane. I can't even do it 1/32nd, so I don't know how he does it. But yeah, it's a shame there weren't more entries here for biplanes, so get cracking. Then I failed to get my Merya done for this category because it would have taken up the whole space of this 144. So we've got the 132s starting with these ones, which is the 101 category, the single media. Not as many 132s this year. We've had a couple of chats about how some of the categories are waxed and waned. Some fool has built an F14 in flight over there, and it's me, an F15. And there's just a few more over here.
They're not super clean.
So on the 148s, we start with, that's my Porco Rosso that I finished at 4 AM. And we've got a huge table spread of parked cars, aircraft. And then my P38 over there in the air, which unfortunately I didn't beat Victor over, that I did the body build. So that one, he got bronze. And there's quite a big spread here. And then in the air, there's a few of mine, the Airfux Sabre, QMHE 262 from last year, my F14, and this is Grant's Super Hornet, which looks great. There's actually quite a couple, I should say, in flights that aren't mine. This was an amazing paint job. It's my son's favourite aircraft out of all of them. Doesn't like mine. And then we've got this magnificent fencer, which I think was let down by the wheels being a bit off, but the paint job's fantastic. And I really love this fitter that's in flight. The wheels are half up. It's taking off, which is a really good pose. Although I would have put that rod behind the base, but that's okay, it's good. And 172, I think. Lots of flying box car at the back, which was lovely. I helped out, I didn't do this category, but I helped out some of the chaps there because it was just a bit overwhelming. Got these big Vulcans. And then surprise, surprise, my chuck together kit got the bronze. Even though it's got quite a few construction faults, I must have liked the paint job I did. I went for a really pre-shaded look on that one. And we got these matched pairs on the back, Korean War. So there we go, a bit of a long montage of most of the categories. As I noted in the video, I did judge quite a bit on the night. That's my second time judging at the show, and I'd just like to give my thoughts on the competition itself. Well, first of all, let's talk about the actual, the venue was fantastic, the organisation was fantastic, they do a great job, the QMHE chaps there, David and the Chris's and Mark and Brett and all those guys. They do a fantastic job, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year. So this year was a record attendance and a record number of models in the competition. In fact, my son's X-Wing was the last one, number 617, I believe. So over 600 models. It's getting almost as big as Melbourne Model Expo. And I think for a lot of people, they prefer it that way. Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of the quality is definitely there. There's some fantastic models on display in all different categories. The way that they approach the judging is more inclusive. It's a sort of a hybrid of the IPMS method and the open method, where if you're unaware of the difference between those two, the open method is, I'm just changing hands on the camera, I'm getting a sore arm. The open method is where you don't judge the models against other models, you judge them on their own merit, and if they get to a certain standard, so you add points to them, you don't take away points, you add points, and when you get to a certain level and you've got nothing more to add, then it might be a bronze. If it's a bit better, it might be silver. If it's even better, it's gold. And it's irregardless of how many models in that category. You could have 4 or 5 getting gold, or you could have 1 getting bronze. And that sort of does happen. Sometimes you get a category that just doesn't seem to have a lot of love or a lot of craftsmanship put into it. And there were a few categories there that really shouldn't have had first, second, and thirds. They should have just had a couple of thirds, and that was it. But anyway, back to that part doesn't happen, but in the IPMS system, that's more of a cut-off. It's like, if you don't do this, that's it, you're out of the competition, it's triaged. Forget about it. So if you've got if you haven't filled one seam, that's it, you're out. If your wheel is slightly out of alignment, you're out. It doesn't matter how good your paint is, doesn't matter how good your creativity is, out. They don't do that at QMHE, they do a hybrid, so we look at four things roughly equal, basic construction, and then enhanced sort of construction, how well you've really upped the detail or increased things. Then we look at the paint. Is it a good paint job? And decals and markings, have you done them? There's no carrier film showing, etc. And then finally, weathering and presentation. Have you actually brought to the table a really interesting model to look at? And so, for example, I'll give you an example. The chap who got silver in submarines, he had 1 or 2 minor construction flaws on the tail of his sub. Now, under the IPMS system, he wouldn't have got a silver, he would have gone out, but the rest of his construction was perfect, his paint was fantastic, his weathering was fantastic as well. He made a base, it had rainwater effects on it, it looked like a weathered, beaten old submarine, and that's compared to all the other ones that were just done out of the box and sort of flat finish, and some of them had construction errors, some of them did. You could almost pass over them, but not really. Some, photo etch wasn't attached properly and so forth. So that was good. The fact that he wasn't, triaged into those other ones that weren't anywhere near as good from the presentation point of view. That's what really I think is better about this system of, encouraging people to, not everyone's going to make a perfect model. Not everyone's Eric Galley is at main scale, where he's 132 scale aircraft are near on perfect. So that means that you're more encouraged to have a go and be a bit more creative with the final product, and that's really, really good. And they do multiple golds and silvers. For example, in the figures, there were several multiple golds in one category because you just can't split them. They're just that good. The figures on display were just amazing. We had the chap from NZ come over. We had Ben Flood. He's up again putting his figures in, and they're just amazing. And you just get blown away. And the fact that they did the tiered sort of setup, almost like Scale Model Challenge, what they do in Europe, so that's another great improvement. So the show's just getting better and better. So I really, really enjoyed this weekend. It was great to have my son with me for the first time. He's only 9, and he loved it. He got really tired, but he really loved it. He was the one who bought all the models. I only bought one old dodgy kit that I'm going to turn into something a bit different. An old Smurf Walrus, but I'm not going to make it as a Walrus. I got the Airfix one instead. Airfix, sorry, got to be careful. I did get a highly commended for my Airfix Sabre, which I'm shocked at, because I hated that kit. Anyway, I had an idea. Okay, medals, yeah. I didn't really go in for medals this year. I keep saying that. It's true. I just wanted to display stuff. So I had 8 aircraft in flight, and they really were flying above the table, especially the big F-14, if you saw that in the video. And also, I got a gold for my Y-wing in Star Wars. I seem to always win the Star Wars category. I don't know why. I mean, I love Star Wars. It's great. But I don't know. It's just, is it too easy? No, I shouldn't say that. That's really rude, isn't it? No, I really, really enjoy it. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing it because I've won it a few years in a row now. And yeah, it's if I only did Star Wars, I'd be happy because I love the kits. I love Bandai. I love fine molds now that I've discovered fine mold Star Wars, even though it's older stuff. I've got the Slave 1 in 1/72 scale. Maybe I'll do that next year. I don't know. Yeah, what else did I got a silver by default for the F-14, the big one. It's definitely not worth a silver. It's not even worth a bronze. You know, they had so many construction problems with that, so many flaws. Didn't get anything for the other F-14, didn't get anything for the P-38. Damn you, Mick, you beat me with your P-38. He got a bronze. I got a bronze for my little Horton, the little flying wing, which was funny because I literally built and paint that in between waiting for things to dry on the F-14s. What else was there? I can't remember. I think about 4 or 5, I don't know, out of the 8. Oh, Porco Rosso, the one I actually stayed up to 4 a.m. finishing that. My wife almost killed me. She came roaring down the stairs to tell me what the hell you're doing. That's true. I was very stupid. I shouldn't have done that. So I didn't even put a gloss coat on it. Didn't seal the decals. Still got bronze. I was very happy with the backdrop I did on it. That's something I'm going to repeat in the future. I really loved doing that artistic sort of. I stole the idea from the figure modelers. It's not my idea. And I scratch built a little 1/1200 scale Hotel Adriano, you know, on the lake there. So I'm really, really happy with that one. Yeah, so I might wrap it up there. I might do a separate video on what I'm thinking about doing next year. I'm about to go on holidays, a couple more weeks, then I'm off. So you won't see me around for a while. I really need this break to recover from my stuff. Well, haven't worked for a while, but I'm entitled to it, I think. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.